What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 353 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Today, I want to talk to you about another Batman-adjacent book. This is Batwoman, Elegy by Greg Rucka and J.H. Williams III. This collects Detective Comics issues 854 through 860. This pretty much picks up from the weekly series 52, where the character Kate Kane was introduced, and this takes her story that was started there and continues it, where Kate Kane is going after the religion of crime, and she is going after specifically a new leader of the religion of crime, a character named Alice, who is kind of sort of inspired after the character of Alice from Alice in Wonderland, sort of, and we find out that this character actually has a connection to Batwoman, and I'm not going to spoil what that connection is, but whenever this was first revealed in the book, I was like, oh no, guys, I don't really want you to do that. I don't really want to see this story go in that direction. And then we kind of stop what's going on in the present day, and we get about 3 or 4 issues that take place in the past. We get to see an issue of Kate when she was a little girl, and then we get to see an issue where she was in the army, and then we get to see one after she was kicked out of the army, and we get to see one where she's kind of building up her training years, if you will, where she's learning to become a better Batwoman. And I absolutely love those issues. If you had told me before I started reading this that there was going to be, I'm pretty sure it's 4 issues here showing flashbacks and building up to the stuff going on in the present day, I would have said 4 issues? Really? Does it take that long to establish this character who we've already seen in 52? And I'm totally okay with it now. It took seeing it to believe it, but I really love getting to see these issues kind of flesh out her backstory a little bit. And a lot of this is stuff that we already knew from 52, but expands on it quite a bit. Her relationship with Renee Montoya, we knew about that from 52, but this shows how they met and shows how they broke up. This also shows that she was in the army. I don't remember if that was established in 52 or not, because she was in 52, but I wouldn't say that she was one of the main characters. She was mostly connected to Renee Montoya, who was one of the main characters of 52, but I don't think that it was revealed that she was an army character in 52. But we find out here that she is an army brat and also went into the army for a brief period of time, and I really love her relationship with her dad here. This book actually makes me dislike the Rebirth Detective Comics volume a little bit more. That story reveals that Kate Kane in the New 52/Rebirth continuity, she is a cousin of Bruce Wayne, and spoilers for the Detective Comics opening arc from Rebirth, but her dad was ultimately the bad guy of that volume. Not necessarily a bad guy per se, more one of those guys who is very extreme and is trying to save the world, but is doing it through very extreme methods. And I really dislike that they turned him into a villain in that story, and I was not familiar with that character, Kate Kane's father, in that story whenever I read it. But now that I've read this, and I get to see the relationship that she has with her dad, I'm kind of disappointed that they turned him into sort of a bad guy. I don't want to say he's a full-on villain in Rebirth, but they sent him down a path that I am not happy with now that I've read this. I really love her relationship with her father. It seems very cold and very formal, but at the same time, you can tell that these two characters love each other a great deal, and that could not have been easy to pull off, but I really like that they were able to do it. Greg Rucka is a fantastic writer. He is criminally underrated. Just about everything that I've read from him, I've really loved. If you like this, I'm sure that I'm one of the last people alive to have read this book. I remember when it was first coming out, a lot of people were talking hype about it, and I don't know what took me so long to read this. I think maybe I was waiting to read 52, and then once I read 52, I just forgot to pick this series up. But this is fantastic. I really love this. If you like this, if you've already read this, I would recommend that you read Greg Rucka's stuff that took place after No Man's Land. I feel like maybe DC is recollecting some of that, but don't quote me on that. But he also did a run on Superman around the time of Infinite Crisis, and that was really good also. Greg Rucka is a great writer, and I really wish that we could see him on more books in the Batman world. Right now, I believe he's still writing Wonder Woman, and as far as I know, he's really happy writing Wonder Woman, but I would love to see him return to Gotham City. I think that he's a really good writer. I'd love to see him do like a Question Batwoman team-up series. I think that'd be pretty cool. Something like that. I don't know. I think it'd be great. I really love this book. The art here is phenomenal. J.H. Williams III is one of the best writers of our era. He is a guy, I've only seen his art in a few other places. I feel like he did the art in the Club of Heroes storyline very early in Grant Morrison's Batman run, which would have been just a year or two before this, I think. And then he also did the opening and closing issues of Seven Soldiers, which I talked about a little over a month ago. That was another Grant Morrison thing. He did did the bookend issues, and his art in those, I don't think that I fully appreciated it there. I feel like it's been a while since I've read the Club of Heroes thing. Maybe I need to go back and reread that. But in the Seven Soldiers thing, there were a few places where I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like he would have a panel that was shaped like a sword and stuff like that. Like he was doing a lot of really interesting panel layouts in those issues. But here, we get to see him really play around with his art style, and I absolutely love it. The flashback issues, the art there, reminds me a lot of David Aja's art from the Hawkeye series that he did with Matt Fraction. In fact, when I was reading those issues, I had to go back to the beginning of those issues to make sure that it was still J.H. Williams III, and it is. His art looks so different here. He is one of those artistic chameleons. I feel like he's really making his art look like David Aja's in those flashback sequences, and I think it all has to do with the coloring, because in the present day, the coloring is a lot more shadowy and a lot more muted, but in the flashback stuff, it's a lot more flat. It's just the red is all red, and the skin tones are all skin tone color. It's not a whole lot of shadow or a whole lot of muted coloring going on in those flashback scenes, which makes it look a lot like David Aja, like I said. But I really love his art here. I really love the panel layouts that he does. They are very creative, very fun. There's a couple of scenes in this book where the panel layouts, it's like a double spread page, and it kind of looks like a bat. It's really cool the way he does it. Sometimes a little hard to follow, but it's pretty intuitive. You can kind of catch on. It's not as easy as a traditional page, but I don't think it should be easy. I think this is a book that you really do need to kind of take your time and say, okay, I need to readjust myself. I need to take some time and read this, try and figure out which order I need to read these dialogue balloons, and just sit down and enjoy this book. I don't have anything bad to say about this book. Every time I thought I was going to not like something, I ended up liking it anyway. The reveal about the bad guy in this book, I ended up being totally okay with that by the end of the book. Having 4 issues of flashback stuff, I was totally okay with that also. I cannot wait to see the next volume of this series, and I'm already bracing myself to be a little disappointed because there wasn't much more of this series. I believe there was at least one more volume before the New 52, and there may have been another volume in the New 52. I don't remember, but I know that art took a really long time on this book, and I don't remember if J.H. Williams III was the artist throughout the entire series, but I do believe it took them a very long time to keep these issues coming out. But I am very much looking forward to reading more from this series. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Batwoman Elegy. I hope that you guys liked this review, and if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with a different video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.